Air pollution control. So first of all, what is air pollution control? So it includes the techniques which are employed to reduce or eliminate the emission of harmful substances into the atmosphere that are essential for protecting both the human health and the environment. Air pollution control measures. Now, what measures you can take in order to control the air pollution? So, first is avoid using vehicles. For shorter trips, consider walking, cycling, or using public transportation. This reduces the number of vehicles on the road, which in turn lowers emissions of harmful pollutants. Then utilizing the public transport like buses, trains, or carpooling can significantly decrease the number of individual vehicles, thus reducing overall emission and conserving energy resources. Then energy conservation. Turning off lights, appliances, electronic devices when not in use can reduce the demand for electricity, which is often generated by burning fossil fuels. This decreases emission of pollutants such as sulfur dioxide, NOx, and particulate matter. Then you should use energy efficient devices like CFLs, LEDs, as it helps reduce the energy consumption. Then industrial emission control. Emissions from industrial processes can be reduced by treating pollutants at the source itself. This involves altering the raw materials or changing the chemical processes to produce fewer pollutants. Then you can substitute materials also, replacing the raw materials that yield high level of pollutants with less polluting alternatives. For example, using less harmful chemicals in manufacturing processes to reduce the emission of toxic substances. Then fuel substitution. Replacing the traditional fuels like petrol, diesel with cleaner alternatives such as CNG. CNG burns cleaner than petrol and diesel, resulting in lower emissions of CO2, NOx, and particulate matter. In many parts of India, vehicles, especially public transport and commercial fleets, are transitioning to CNG. This shift helps in reducing the overall level of vehicular pollution. Then you can go for equipment modification and maintenance, modernizing industrial equipment to ensure they operate efficiently and produce fewer emissions. This can include installing scrubbers, filters, and other pollution control devices. Then regular maintenance you should go for. Keeping industrial equipment in good working condition through regular maintenance can significantly reduce the emissions. Proper maintenance ensures that equipment operates efficiently and within the emission standards. So let's study various air pollution control devices. So first is gravitational settling chamber. Now it is one of the oldest and simplest type of particulate collectors which is used to remove the large particles from gas streams. It utilizes the force of gravity to separate and collect particulates from industrial emissions or other gas streams. Now how it works? First of all, the dirty gas stream containing the particulate matter enters the chamber. Now, this gas can come from various industrial processes in which larger particles are present in the gas stream. Now, inside the chamber, the velocity of the gas stream it is significantly reduced. This decrease in velocity is important because it will allow the heavier particles to settle out of the gas under the influence of gravity. As the gas stream slows down, gravity causes the larger and heavier particles to fall out of the gas stream. These particles drop to the bottom of the chamber while the cleaner gas continues to move through the chamber. The settled particles accumulate at the bottom of the chamber and they are collected in the dust hoppers. These collected particles can then be removed and disposed of or processed further as required. And you can see the clean gas exits. Second is cyclone separator. It is also known as cyclone collector, and it is a device which is used to remove particulates from an air, gas or liquid stream without the use of filters through vortex separation. When the dust-laden gas enters the cyclone, it is forced into a swirling motion, creating centrifugal forces that separate particles from the gas stream. Now, first, let's understand its components and functioning. So first is dusty air inlet. Now, this is the inlet where the contaminated air or gas enters the cyclone separator. This inlet is usually tangential to the cyclone body, causing the air to spiral downward. Then is airflow path, the path which is taken by the air as it spirals downward. The circular motion causes the heavier particles to move outward towards the walls due to the centrifugal force. Now, what is this centrifugal force? It is an apparent force that acts outward on a body moving around a center arising from the body's inertia. Imagine you are on a merry-go-round at a playground. When it starts spinning, you feel like you are being pushed away from the center and towards the edge. Now, this feeling is what we call centrifugal force. Then, outer wall, the outer boundary of the cyclone separator where the dust and particulate matter are deposited. Dust deposited on the wall. As the air spirals downward, the centrifugal force pushes the dust and other particulates towards the outer wall where they settle and slide down due to gravity. Dust outlet located at the bottom of the cyclone separator. This outlet allows the collected dust and particulates to be removed from the system. Inner cylinder, the central part of the cyclone, where the clean air flows upwards after the particulates have been separated. Clean air outlet, the outlet where the cleaned air exits the cyclone separator. Typically, it is located at the top center of the device. Now let's understand how it works. The dust-laden gas enters the cyclone separator tangentially at the top or side, causing the gas to spin rapidly inside the cylindrical or conical chamber. Then rapid spinning, it creates a strong centrifugal force. This centrifugal force acts on the particles, driving them outward towards the walls of the cyclone. As the particles are thrown against the walls, they lose their momentum due to friction and gravity, causing them to fall down along the walls of the cyclone chamber into the collection hopper below. The clean gas, now with significantly fewer particles, moves inwards towards the center of the cyclone. The clean gas then rises upwards and exits through a central outlet at the top of the cyclone. Electrostatic precipitator. It works on the principle of electrical charging of particulate matter and collecting it on a charged surface. They are widely used in various industrial processes due to their high efficiency and ability to handle large volumes of gas at high temperatures and pressures. Let's understand with the help of this image. So first is waste gases containing the smoke particles. They enter the electrostatic precipitator, and the smoke particles within these gases are given a negative charge by passing through a negatively charged metal grid or ionizing section. Then step 2, the negatively charged smoke particles are then attracted to the positively charged collecting plates. These plates are typically arranged in such a way that they can effectively capture the particles from the flowing gas stream. Then the collecting plates are periodically cleaned by mechanical wrapping or vibrating mechanisms that knock the particles off the plates. The dislodged particles, they fall into the collection system below, from which they can be removed and processed. Now the cleaned gas is free of smoke particles. It is released from electrostatic precipitator and can be safely vented into the atmosphere. This process is highly efficient and is commonly used in industrial applications to control air pollution. Then fourth is bioreactor. Microbes have inhabited the earth since the time that the earth cooled, sufficiently to allow any form of life to exist. Microbes have a simple life cycle. They are born, eat, grow, reproduce, and die. Their diet is based primarily on carbon-based compounds, water, oxygen, and macronutrients. So in bioreactors, what happens? Bioreactors, they use microbes to remove pollutants from emissions by consuming the pollutants. Bioreactors have been used for hundreds of years to treat sewage and other odoriferous waterborne waste. About 60 years ago, Europeans began using bioreactors to treat contaminated air, particularly emissions from sewage treatment plants and rendering plants. The initial process used a device called a biofilter. A biofilter is usually a rectangular box that contains an enclosed plenum on the bottom, a support rack above the plenum, and several feet of media on the top of the support rack. And a large number of materials are used for bed media such as peat, composted yard waste, bark, coarse soil, gravel, or plastic shapes. And sometimes oyster shells and fertilizers are also mixed with bed media. And the support rack is perforated to allow air from the plenum to move into the bed media to contact microbes that live in the bed. Now, this bed media provides a habitat for microorganisms to grow. The perforations also permit excess condensed moisture to drain out of the bed to the plenum. Now let's understand how it works. A fan is used to collect contaminated air from the building or process. If the air is too hot, too cold, too dry, or too dirty, it may be necessary to pre-treat the contaminated air stream to obtain optimum conditions before introducing it into the bioreactor. Now the contaminated air is directed into the plenum chamber. This chamber distributes the air evenly across the bed of the biofilter. Now, as the air flow through the bed media, the pollutants are absorbed by the moisture on the bed media and then they come in contact with the microbes. Then microbes, they reduce pollutant concentration by consuming and metabolizing the pollutants. During the digestion process, enzymes in the microbes, they convert pollutants or harmful compounds into energy, carbon dioxide and water. Material that is indigestible is left over and becomes residue. After passing through the biofilter bed, the air emerges clean from the contaminants and can be safely released back into the environment.